Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to my program in which I take an individual horror film from any decade and any subgenre, and me and my special guest sit down, relax, conversate, have a critique and analysis of this individual film. Now, some of these films will be great and they'll be, universally appreciated while others will not. Now, since we are doing our franchise themed month, we are actually dedicating an individual episode for each film within a franchise. So sometimes the sequels are not nearly as good as the first film, but we decided to do an episode on them anyways, and hope that you will enjoy our conversation. That being said, we are delving deep into the Basket Case franchise, and this is going to delve into Basket Case 2 from 1990, and I want to welcome my special guest, Mr. Dave Watkins, here to discuss this film. Thank you, Dave, for joining us today.
Good to be back. We just have recently discussed the first basket case from 1982.
So
this is
8 years later.
Yeah, 8 years later, which isn't too much longer, I guess. But it's a bit.
It shows this film, and we're gonna get into that.
A big difference in the way that it looks compared to the 82 looks like something out of the 70s,
It does. And if you have not immersed yourself in the Basket Case franchise, very much the very first film feels like a grindhouse film. The way that it is shot, the way that it feels, and the way the aesthetics pour over and ooze out of its oeuvre. So if you like grindhouse films, then you will love the original film. This film, on the other hand, in my opinion, takes a different step to that one. With a bigger budget, better cinematography, better film quality, this film is a much different animal. So
it's a lot different as far as that. And also it's like it has a different type of tone almost. It's almost this one seems a little sillier than the first one too. The first one's a little rough around the edges, but actually appreciate it now after seeing this one. I do appreciate the first one a little bit more than I did after I watched it this time when we talked about it. But
so how did you come about this film? Did you watch it when it originally came out, or is this a recent watch for you for Basket Case 2?
Well, no, I saw it when it came on cable back in the day. It was probably sometime in the 90s, not when it first came out. I think I saw the third one first, actually. And it was because the third one was the newest one, which was only like a year or two later from this. But they had that one playing on HBO, and it was like making a big deal. It was like Basket Case 3, the progeny, sort of thing. And it was like, saw that one. I think I watched them in reverse order, actually. It was like you watched the third one and then this one. And that's the way to do it. Start with the last one first,
Can't say much, Dave. I watched the second one first, and I think we discussed it when we were talking about the first film. I saw the second one first, and the video store that I used to frequent, and there's like 3 of them I used to frequent when I was younger. None of them had the first movie, and one of them had the empty box there, and obviously the VHS tape had been destroyed, but they never took the box down. So
So you kept thinking it was suddenly gonna be there one day, or is it?
And I put on reserve because back in the day, you used to be able to put these movies on reserve.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was told that they don't have it. But I said, why don't you take the box down? You don't have the movie. I was like, yeah, we'll take it down one day. And they never did. It just sat there forever.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, I mean, why would you do that? It's like, I wonder how many times they got asked about it. Just take it down,
I was probably the only one who wanted to watch Basket Case.
Yeah, you think so? They think no one else was asked about it?
The video store, just for reference, the video store I went to only had like maybe one copy of Basket Case 2 and one copy of Basket Case 3. I don't think they really, they had them on the shelf. But if one got damaged or destroyed, they weren't in a hurry to ever replace it. So,
well, it's funny. It's like they actually cost a lot of money too back then. Like if they were buying the VHS to rent them, I don't know how much it was, but it was kind of outlandish the amount of money that they had to pay for that copy. How much you think it was? Like somewhere between 300 to 500, maybe more. I don't know.
you know what? I don't know. That's a good question. I do know that, but when they started selling VHSs to the home market for cheap, that's when the price went down. But before that happened, I guarantee you that they were probably paying something a huge amount. Um,
Yeah, I saw it one time. I can't remember now, but it was like when I saw it the first time, I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. And it makes sense, though, if you think about it, because you're basically selling it to the rental store for them to rent it out and
yeah,
hopefully make money from it. And of course, they're not going to reorder basket case if
yeah,
they're not going
exactly.
to make money off of it. They probably had to pay at the very least, it would have been $100, and it would take a lot of rentals to catch up with that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and that's how that market used to go back then. You'd
Yeah.
sell it to a store and hope that it would generate enough traffic that they would buy multiple copies. But I don't think Basket Case, the first one, ever really did. So there was no reason to buy a whole bunch of them. I'm just happy that this video store I used to go to at least had Basket Case 2. And I enjoyed Basket Case 2 when it came out because I saw it when it first came out in 1990. I rented these movies. I didn't have like my family didn't we didn't have a bunch of cable networks to watch from. We had standard freaking cable and not like cable
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I watched this as VHS, rented
Yeah.
it, saw it, loved it, and then started looking for the first one, but couldn't find it. And then, of course, a few years, like you said, later, the third one came out. So I saw the third one, and then never saw the first one for like at least a few decades until I finally got around to finally looking for it and found it. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, like the appetite probably left you after a little while. You saw the other two, and you're like, I really need to see the first one, and then eventually it's like, screw it.
yeah,
You
well,
know,
that's the thing is,
it's
the second one came out in 92, and then, once you, 92, 95, 96, and you're like, I'll get around to it one day, and you never do. And they're probably not playing on cable that often, if ever.
yeah,
So,
right, yeah. I think I saw the first one on cable, but it was like,
pay cable, not pay cable, the HBO or Showtime or something.
yeah, yeah, because I mean, it has that full frontal male nudity
Yeah.
in it, and I do remember seeing that, um, it being a little surprised about it. So it must have not been on regular television, but some reason I feel like there was commercials in it, but maybe not, you know.
Yeah, like even today, I don't even know where these movies are streaming if they're streaming somewhere. But Frank Hillenleyer's the director of Frank Hillenleyer's films are not like typical films you'd find on regular standard cable. I don't think he
Yeah.
ever made a regular film that you would just normally find on standard cable with commercials.
Yeah, with these, I mean, the sequels to the Basket Case movies are a little tamer than the first one, so they're easy. They're probably easier to be on television. He didn't make that many, like, direct that many movies. He made Frankenhooker between these.
He did about
I,
10, 12 movies.
he did, he wanted to make more, but people kept wanting him to make more Basket Cases, and he just like didn't want to do it. But
Yeah,
I
because I
mean,
don't think he
but
did
here, yeah.
any sequels to anything else other than Basket Case. Now I think
No,
about
I think they're like there's an appetite for it, but he does one.
yeah,
It's eight movies, so is what he.
Brain Damage was my favorite. That's still
Yeah,
my favorite film, man.
right. Yeah.
I loved Brain Damage even when I was a kid. Even though I didn't understand everything that was in it, I loved that movie.
Right.
Frankenhooker and then Bad Biology. Um,
Yeah. You're pretty close. That's about all of them. That's all. There's two others that aren't even clickable on
he has
Wikipedia.
a
So
documentary on not HD Wells, Herschel Gordon Lewis.
yeah. He's got like three documentaries,
Yeah, he's got a couple
it's
documentaries.
but as far as his feature films, he got some made. He had like he had ideas for other ones that he wanted to make, but he couldn't get the funding for
Yeah,
it, and they kept offering him. You make another Basket
yeah,
Case.
take another Basket Case.
Yeah. That's how he got Frankenhooker made because he told him that he would make Basket Case 2 if they, let him make Frankenhooker. So
That's so sad that happens to some directors. They get like this one franchise that hits it big, and the only way they can do movies other than that is to keep doing
yeah,
sequels to their most famous franchise.
yeah. Well, if that happened to me, I would just keep making more basket cases. I'd be like, okay, you're gonna pay me to do another one? Hey, let's do it.
Look at you. Oh my God. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't do the same thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'd be happy someone's giving me money to make some movies, dude.
Yeah.
As weird as movies are. And if you listen to this Hidden Liar, you gotta know I love your movies, dude. I really do love your movies. Because they're so like there's no he reminds me of a David Cronenberg. There's no one out there making movies like Frank Hill Hidden Liar. Just like no one's out there making David Cronenberg films. He's got
Right.
his kids making films, and his kids are not making films the same as him. They might be similar body horror movies, but they're not David Cronenberg movies.
Yeah,
Um,
but Brandon Cronenberg, I'm actually pretty impressed with some of his films. I
oh, yeah,
was, yeah,
Brandon, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
they're not as crazy with the ideals or as far thinking with the ideals nearly as his movies are. So, Frankie
yeah.
the Liar, I think his heyday was the 70s and 80s, and then the 90s kind of drowned him out, and he was kind of forgotten because so many people in the 90s were making these straight to DVD flicks that were even more extreme than even what he was doing. So it's
Right. Well, I think if you'd like kept making more basket case movies, people remember him better. It's because really, if you think about it, if you're like he's so resistant to it, and then if you make them, you'll eventually hopefully in theory get offered more stuff. It's like, but he's probably like, I've done it. I don't want to keep doing it. He's probably had that type of mindset about it. And he had these other scripts that were apparently good that were very frustrating that nobody would pay for it because they couldn't see it they basically couldn't see it as his name wasn't what's associated necessarily with Basket Case, but the name Basket Case,
yeah.
people were starting to recognize it, and they know they put Basket Case out to DVD or VHS sales, then they know that they're going to make money.
Yeah, I think
So
you're 100% right on that. I think that is exactly what happened to him. It's unfortunate because we missed out on so many great movies. Like people remember him for Basket Case, and they remember him for Frankenhooker. There's a
yeah,
few more people who I talked to who have seen Brain Damage, but very, 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 very few people have seen Bad Biology, and I actually like Bad Biology. But yeah, yeah. But getting
yeah,
back to Basket Case.
yeah.
So I know Frank Hitler, if he listens to this, will like say, "Man, you talked about all of my movies in this one episode." Yeah,
So the end of spoilers for but at the end of Basket Case, the first one, the main characters go out this a hotel, and then they fall off the hotel, land on the ground, and die. And so going into this one, it was like, how are you going to do it? We've already killed off the main characters, and Frank Henenlotter liked that ending, and it meant something to him that he thought it was powerful that the two twins who are it was like basically a regular looking dude and a monster that looks like a potato head that's attached to his body, but he gets it unattached, and then he kills the little one. He's got big claws and kills people, but it meant something to him that Frank that the two characters died at the end. And that was another reason why he didn't want to make the second one to begin with, because he thought it might make the first one not as rememberable, or might take away from the first one. And maybe it does in a way, but I think that if it wasn't for two and three, people might not even remember the first one that much.
yeah, I agree with you on that one too. I think the zaniness and what happens in the second and third one are why people remember the entire franchise as a whole. But he wrote himself out of that hole of killing his two people by having them found by police and taken to a hospital where they're chained to the bed because they obviously are told they are the killers of multiple different people. I,
Belial, like the killer is chained to the bed. The other guy, Dwayne is free. Like, but he
oh,
does seem to be, yeah. But he is very messed up. He's in a cast, and he's all kinds of messed up. It's interesting. It starts off with some continuity from the first movie, and of course that was shot really grainy. I think it was 16 millimeter film, and it was also shot in 4:3. So the quality of it looks a lot different from when it cuts to the very nice looking 35 millimeter footage of the first you see is that after the opening credits, like a news reporter standing in front of what's probably the hotel doing a news report, and it looks very clean. And when you see that shot in comparison to the really grainy footage from the original one.
No, and I love that. I love the fact that the studios gave him money to actually enhance this film, and that's a good segue to seeing some of that footage from the first film to start you off with, and then cutting to the news footage before going into the actual movie, because it may be jarring for some audience members to see some of that, like you said, that early 16 millimeter footage that's shot in 4:3, and then going into the high gloss of the 35 millimeter, which I think is
Yeah,
phenomenal for the film. It makes the film look so much.
yeah. It's not presented in 4:3 here. That it's actually zoomed in, so it makes it look even worse. But that the Arrow release does have the 4:3 film in 4K, so it does look better when you see the Arrow 4K release of it. But then we see the news, and there's like an older granny lady and her daughter. It's like Granny Ruth and Susan, and they're watching the news very and they're very in tune to it. And then we see a cameo of one of the characters from the first
Yeah,
film. The actress, you can see a brief cameo of her talking about. Looks a lot older than she does in the first movie, and but at the same time, it's it's supposed to be like the next day, I think, but
yeah.
it's cool they got her back.
Yeah, they got her back to do that, which I think is good. I didn't realize that was her because I've watched these movies out of order for so
All
many
right,
times. And I thought that was a good way to segue in there, so that we show kind of some continuity between the first film and second film, because after that, no characters from the first film, other than the main two characters, are in the second film, and even Kevin Van Hintenrick is no longer even playing Belial in this one. So
well,
that
yeah, I think he does the voice of Bilal, which is kind of it doesn't happen very often.
no.
Yeah.
Actual face in one scene at least of this one where there's an actor playing the head Bilal, which I didn't really notice until I
It's
watched it. It was
it's him though. It's I saw like an interview
Is it
in the
him?
first one. Yeah, he talks about it in an interview. Like Kevin says that he says that he did it for one scene and they hated it. Like the studio hated it. They're like he doesn't look right, and he doesn't look right. It's
Doesn't
like
look right.
yeah, he doesn't look like Bilal anymore. It's like it's just weird. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was rewatching it, that was the first time I noticed the difference. I was like, because I was looking at, because I got who did the really good, the Synapse version of the Blu-ray of it. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
man, this looks crystal clear. This looks great. And then I
yeah,
saw that scene. I was like, oh wow, it the practical effects look great, but you could tell the difference between that person, Kevin's head, in that freaking
yeah,
Belial
yeah,
versus
yeah,
all the other shots of Belial, which look like all animatronic puppets that look really good.
yeah.
I don't know why he did that or kept it, but that's a little jarring and weird. But
Yeah, it was Bilal looks a lot better too
yeah.
in this one. He's still got his eyes will turn red sometimes, and it's crazy looking.
Well, you know what? That's actually a good way to start off what I wanted to mention, because the only way they escape the hospital is by Bilal, and you see his eyes glow red again. And from my perspective, he takes over Dwayne's body to
Okay.
help them escape. So Dwayne's not like, in this film. You see that whole power that Bilal has over his brother, which is I think I'm not 100% sure. You maybe can help me on this. I think he does it maybe once in the first film, but in this film, that's definitely he's taking control over his brother in this one at the very beginning of the film to help him.
Yeah, I didn't put that together, but it makes sense that he does it because his brother's like on the bed incapacitated. The Dwayne's incapacitated, and Bilal wakes up and his eyes turn red, and then Dwayne gets up and he's able to pick him up and move him. move Bilal and get him out of the handcuffs and stuff. It, there is an effect that is sometimes between the two brothers where I think one of them they're telepathically linked and sometimes they affect each other in different ways. Because sometimes you'll see Dwayne, especially in both movies during the third act, he starts to act a lot more like Bilal in both films,
Yeah, yeah. And I can't tell if that was any type of control or if the Dwayne's character is just going a little bit off the deep end.
Right, right. Yeah, he gets a little bit too into killing people all of a sudden, Which he doesn't actually ever kill anyone himself, but he's just like very excited about the prospect
Yeah.
sometimes, a little too much so. But but then it's funny that the first kill in the movie, like Bilal is there's a police officer who's guarding their room, and Bilal he comes around the corner, and Bilal's like attached to the wall somehow, sideways. He does that in the first movie too, but he's able
It
to
looks
attach
great.
to the. I think he like uses like his penis to attach to the wall.
Yeah, I I didn't want to say anything, but after we see the scene later on in the film where he's having intercourse with the one character Eve, we have
Yeah,
to think where the heck that type
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
anatomy is. But I will say that scene looks amazing in this scene where he comes around the corner and Dwayne's on the wall. I mean, Bilal's on the wall like that. It
yeah,
looked okay the first film. This film it looks amazing because the practical effects are so far advanced and better than the first film in this film. They are so much better in this film.
yeah, yeah. And then the only thing about it, when there's like people get killed, sometimes you'll see the after parts of it. But they could have. They seem like they're being a little tame with the kills in this one. Like they didn't want to go too gory with it.
Yes.
It's probably a rating thing because people get killed in similar fashions, and it's not as either they didn't have the budget for that, or they're just trying to hold back for ratings.
I think they were trying to hold back on ratings, dude. I see the first film as like this grunge grindhouse style movie, and we got to see all that goriness in there.
Yeah,
But the second movie and the third movie tone it down some to get that R rating. Which is strange because I don't know if and how much of these the second and third film actually had a theatrical release. I've never looked that up, so I don't know if that was one of the things that was prompting them to be less gory with the effects. Because I do know they were popular on VHS rentals, but I do not know how they did on
yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean, as far as I could tell, it doesn't look like it has box office numbers. So if it had a box office, if it was released to box office, to a box, maybe it wasn't like a very large opening. Uh,
I don't think a lot of these type of movies like this had very big openings. Um,
yeah,
I think they had enough of an opening to generate sales for VHS rental. Is how I would see this if it did, but I don't know.
yeah. I'm not sure either, but I don't see any box office numbers
Okay.
that show that it had. May That doesn't tell, but maybe it's just something where they don't have access to that.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
it's the '90s. Sometimes
yeah,
those figures are. I don't know when Box Office Mojo was calculating their tallies, but the '90s was pretty far back before we had internet access and everything else. So,
yeah, right, right. So
but
yeah,
that being said, I do think that you're right. That I think the deaths are toned down, but also I think it's also because there's so much practical effects in regards to all the monsters we see in this film, as opposed to the first film where Belial is literally the only monster in the entire film. So
right, right. Yeah, there's a lot of monsters in this one.
yeah, yeah,
It's kind of like it was funny 'cause I was watching it and it reminded me of Freaked.
yeah,
But Freaked it was a few years later, so this one and the next one are, like remind me like a lot of that actually.
yeah. I wanted to see. It also reminded me of when I oh, it also reminded me
Nightbreed.
of Nightbreed, which came out the
Yeah.
same year.
Yeah, the same year.
Yeah, same year.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it until now.
Yeah. Nightbreed's a lot better than this film, but it's not that this one's bad. I like Nightbreed a lot. I saw that again recently. They got a new they got an Arrow UK 4K release, but the Scream Factory does have a release of it in the US as well. But
They got the Cabal cut,
yeah,
the really good looking Cabal, or I
well,
don't think they call it the Cabal cut.
no,
They call it something
they,
else now.
they call it the director's cut. The Cabal cut is longer than the director's cut, but apparently the Cabal cut was a bit much as far as the stuff that they added to it.
I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Yeah, yeah,
I have it actually. I probably shouldn't have it anymore. I have it.
yeah,
No,
but
I
yeah,
screened it at my film festival. So
yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
that was a
Yeah,
long.
Craig Sheffer showed up for that too, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. He showed
Yeah,
up, we did an interview with him and everything like that. It was great, showing that even though we got off on a little tangent with Nightbreed, it's all about monsters. But yeah, we were the first ones to actually screen it in Georgia. And then within a few months, Dragon Con screened it as well. I was like, oh man, they stole our thunder because it was fucking Dragon Con. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard to compete with Dragon Con for
it's
sure.
really hard to compete.
Yeah, yeah. But that
But
was
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
It's still cool. It's still cool though. But apparently, yeah, the Cabal cut apparently is not the director's cut's a little leaner, and I watched both the director's cut and the regular one. So I think the director's cut's it's a better cut than the original.
mm,
But yeah, I mean, it's like kind of odd. I guess we should get back to Basket Case, but I thought the ending kind of on Nightbreed though, the ending to the director's cut was a lot different than the ending of the original, which that ending of the original one was something that really stuck in my head. So it's like the director didn't like that, but I thought it was a cool ending in the original one, you know?
yes, so did I. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But we were staying in the monster film land, dude.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
in the 90s, I don't think monster films were doing very well. Anyways, Nightbreed did not do well. I'm always surprised about the huge cult following that Nightbreed has, considering
yeah,
it didn't do well at the box office. But this film, or Freaked became another cult movie.
yeah.
Didn't do well either. I was like,
Yeah, Freak was another one I first came into on HBO as well. It was like or it was HBO or Showtime or something like that, where it was like they were making a big deal out of it, and I like that movie a lot. I like this one pretty good too, but that Freak was like a few years later, a little bit higher. I don't know if the budget was higher, but they had better special effects artists for Freak than on this one because they had a bunch of friends who were like really good special effects artists, you know.
yeah. Well, that's one of the elements that makes Basket Case 2 so different from the first Basket Case. The first Basket Case, as Hindenlyer would have said, it makes for a very good self-contained film. The story was ending; it was more or less a vengeance type of movie, and in
Yeah,
this film, it's completely different.
right.
It,
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot different. It's a different tone and everything, you know.
different tone and
Yeah,
everything because the monsters are not the bad guys in this film, which I really and it's the very same to how Freaked and Nightbreed also handled the same subject matter, which is why those films are, in my opinion, are so good. Is
yeah,
because these are few of the films that took that took the ideal and ran with it. I don't think it was
yeah.
successful at the time because I think people just went to see monsters as the bad guys, but this film,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The funny thing, though, even though it kind of presents the monsters that way, which we'll get into it some, but they're not necessarily as good as the script makes them be, you know?
exactly, these ones are, Bilal kills people. There's
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah. And
Bilal,
they're very excited about it too. You know, they might not be killing people themselves, but they're on board with it
the
though.
other
You know,
one,
they're
the other one,
accomplices. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes,
They
yeah.
love it, you know?
They love it. They love it. And that's an ideal that is very on the edge there because you're rooting for the so-called bad guys, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The reporter who they didn't give a name until halfway through the movie. I was trying my best.
So Marcy.
Marcy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like trying my best. Even in the credits, she's like listed as newswoman. I think, yeah. I was like, dude, even her, she's like a reporter who's not really a bad guy, but because she does what she does, like most
Yeah.
underhanded tabloid journalists probably would do, she comes off as not being ethical. So,
Yeah, but I don't think the movie made her bad enough to.
not bad enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, because I think that I mean, they basically have to kill her out of necessity, but she's not. I mean, they didn't make her as bad as they could have, so it kind of comes off a little bit like. It kind of comes off a little bit like they're killing somebody, which they needed to do. But at the same time, she wasn't, she could have been a little more nasty and straightforward for what she was doing. But which they would eventually had to kill her anyway, but they just go ahead and figure out, yeah, she's a little much, you know?
So, with Basket Case, what happens is Dwayne and Belial, after they escape the hospital by killing off the cop that's watching them, they get taken in by Granny Ruth and Susan, who happen to find out the hospital they're in and just get there right when they're escaping the hospital and takes them to their isolated little house, where she has been harboring lots of freaks and misunderstood people, monsters with ailments and all that for years, having raised a child like that herself and been a doctor in that world.
Yeah.
She's very sympathetic to those type of people, which
And
makes
she calls them unique individuals, but they're pretty much monsters or creatures or freaks is what the bad guys who call them
yeah.
freaks. But they're the PC word name for them is unique individuals.
Unique individuals, except for like maybe the gargoyle that they have. I forgot
Yeah.
the gargoyle was in the movie. I was
The
like,
gargoyle, yeah.
there's literally a gargoyle.
Yeah, yeah. The
You know,
gargoyle is cool too, though. I like that. It
gargoyle
looks
is
good.
cool.
Yeah. It's actually literally a gargoyle on the outside of the house, and you only see it twice, but it's like they walk outside, you see him moving around. There's like a damn frog man that hangs out sometimes and ribbits out in the outside in the
Yeah,
woods. It's funny, he show up a few different times and then ribbit, you know.
yeah. I had forgotten about some of these games because I probably haven't watched this one since I got the Synapse version, whenever that came out. So,
Yeah.
however long that's been is when I got it, because I got them as soon as they came out because I didn't have a good copy of the second or third movie. But
It's the Synapse version. It's really good. Um, it's a really good transfer. It's a Blu-ray. It's not 4K, but it's a really good transfer. It looks really good. There's not a lot of special features on it. There's two of them, and it also doesn't have subtitles, which was kind of annoying to me because.
oh,
But I don't. I watch everything with subtitles, so I can't hardly hear. So it's like, but I was like, look, I was able to. Too, it helps when we're doing stuff like this because the stuff pops up on the screen that you might have to rewind back to hear. If you don't have the subtitles.
oh no, I do that too, dude. I do that too, so
Yeah.
I understand it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it is cool to see the house and Granny Ruth and Susan obviously want to make the Belial character feel at home, and that's how we see all the other and are introduced to all the different monsters in the house. She takes them up there, and for the first time, Belial is seen as vulnerable
Yeah.
when he's meeting all the other monsters in the attic for the first time. They're
Yeah.
curious about him. I thought that was
Th-
this movie has a
yeah.
lot of scenes where you feel sympathy for the Belial character, whereas in the first film, I don't think I ever felt sympathy with the character.
Well, there's a part in the first film where you do feel sympathy for him. It's like it's related to this. There's the aunt, like the aunt. Remember that during the flashback sequence, the aunt kind of takes them both in under her wing, and she does the same thing. Granny Ruth does, like where she sits here and reads books to him, and she treats him like a real person and not or like and not a monster. So that's like Bilal. As long as you're like coddling him and treating him and not like treating him nice and not like saying doing anything he doesn't like, he's probably not going to rip your face off.
I get
Maybe.
that sense that Belial is like a what do you call it? A terrible twos kid stuck there. He lashes out when he doesn't get what his way. But if you're on his level and you're understanding, he'll freaking be like docile because he's docile when he's
Yeah,
around all of the other unique individuals in this film. And especially with Ruth.
you're
So
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. It was funny is that in this movie when they first popped up on the screen, like Granny Ruth and her granddaughter Susan, who's the same age as Dwayne, the Dwayne character. But when they first popped up on the screen, I thought they were going to be villains. Was my first impression. It was like, oh, here you go, here's some villains. But then they're not. Though I guess technically they're not. It may be villains to the outside people like the police and the reporters and stuff. But here they're trying to they basically got unique individuals, a bunch of monsters for the most part that are most of them aren't very violent, but they've been outcast from society and they're giving them like a place where they all feel comfortable to hang out.
Yep. And even and I don't want to get too far because I was about to mention the guy with the so-called the Fiji mermaid type of
Oh
carnival.
yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing is that Belial takes to that place real easily, whereas and this is one of the things I had forgotten one of these details, but with Dwayne feels that now that his brother has a place that he can call him own, Dwayne's big thing is that he doesn't feel like he's a unique individual, that he needs to go out there and experience life like a normal person, which is
Right. Yeah, yeah. And it's I like kind of what they do with that because it's actually Dwayne is not very prominent that much during the first 30 minutes. They're focusing a lot on Belial and Dwayne is kind of like in that kind of coma or he's not really a coma, but he's kind of injured
yeah.
and it's not until about 30 minutes in does it really start to take his point of view for the story. Like before that it's kind of like Belial's point of view.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and the thing is with Dwayne, as an audience member, we're still thinking that what he wants is actually something that would be normal. He wants a normal relationship, a normal life. He doesn't want to be there. Now his brother is I guess safe and has friends. He doesn't think his brother needs him anymore, especially considering that they killed all the people responsible for separating them in the first movie.
Right, yeah, they got the revenge thing done, and yeah, everything's kind of taken care of. And he's not very comfortable around all the monsters. Dwayne isn't because they're like, he doesn't have that much in common with them, and and they feel very comfortable in the house. But he's like, I don't hardly ever talk with them. He only likes Susan because she looks normal, but
Yes,
there's hints that she's not. It's-
but every time he mentions how normal they are because of how they look, you get that sense. Even when I first saw this movie, I said, I don't know about this, you know.
yeah, yeah,
But I like the fact that Dwayne is so naive to think that that the word normal means outside appearance is normal to him because her abnormality is more internal and he can't
yeah.
see it. I like I like
Right.
I like the way they did that. They didn't give her like an outward appearance abnormality or I don't want to say unique individual type of thing. Um
Yeah, it's real crazy when it happens. So it was,
it's a little crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And yeah, it would be a little off-putting too, But it's what's interesting though about Dwayne too is that he's not a freak, but he doesn't seem quite right either. But he doesn't fit in. I don't think he doesn't fit in with the monsters, and he definitely he wouldn't fit in the real world either. He's kind of a in between
yeah.
because he's not ever what he's gone through and he just have the kind of some kind of psychic link with his brother. So I don't know how that would go, in the real world. Like I don't know how he would be if he got away from the monsters and stuff. But he's almost like he's among. He's not gonna be right in either place, and he's kind of in a. It's kind of tragic for him, I think.
No, I agree with that. I think with Dwayne, I think he thinks he can become normal if he gets away from his brother, despite the fact that him and his brother have this psychic connection, and he knows that his brother can take control of him, and he no longer has that type of pull over his brother, but his brother has that pull over him. He thinks he can be normal if he gets away from those type of situations. But he has more of a psychological problem with him. Like
Yeah.
like he has this delusion that has followed him from the first film that continues in this film, and which ultimately becomes his downfall in the third act. Uh, is
Yeah.
psychological issues, which, by the way, he refuses to go to Granny Ruth to actually talk about. Belial, as we learn, the time that Wayne is healing, we've learned that Belial has opened up to
Yeah.
Granny Ruth. And Granny Ruth
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
understands him somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. They do like therapy sessions
They
and
do
stuff.
therapy stuff.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But that's like I think Bilal is like especially happy because there is like another like female Bilal upstairs that he's like really enamored with.
Yeah.
And so that's really good for him. I think it does a lot to help him chill out, you know.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. Yeah, chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, without that anger of vengeance like he had in the first film, Bilal is really calm unless asked to do something in this film. Like the very first kill, which is the I don't remember the Barker. Is that his name? Barker. Yeah, Lyle Barker.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
The thing is, Granny Ruth, before I get into that, Granny Ruth is someone who doesn't like seeing any unique individuals in captivity or treated badly or any of that. And I like that concept that
Yeah.
she actively goes out of her way to figure out and find these type of people and bring them to that house, even the ones that are abused or being used by circuses. She mentions all this to Belial and to Dwayne, and I like that about her character. But the way in which she does it is almost a vengeful way, like Belial did in the first film, because she's just using Belial to get to those type of people. Like, she could have easily gone to Barker when knowing that Belial is not in his freak exhibit, and just gone to him and just told him to stop or something like that. But it's not just that. She's brought
Yeah.
Belial with her.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
which,
no, yeah, yeah. But you know what it was funny about it is the guy's not necessarily he's not necessarily like abusing any of them. He just got a point of view of he's exploiting the idea
you
of
do,
creatures and it's making them it's just the idea of it is making the people in the public like think bad about him, even though he's not hurting any of them. But at the same time, she's like, it's almost like, yeah, you're right. It's just a vengeance thing. Like she doesn't like his point of view. She doesn't like that he's making fun of the creatures or making money off of them. And so she just like says this guy needs to go. Now, before that happens, we see the Marcy at the talk to her newspaper editor Lou. We see her at the newspaper station, I guess you would call it. But then he tells her that she needs to go and make a story, get back on the story. That's when she calls the Lyle guy first, and she's on her way over there. And then while she's on her way over there, that's when Granny Ruth comes in there with the basket, and like and then she actually comes in there. Granny Ruth comes in there and sees his exhibit because he's like he acts like he has Belial. Of course, Granny Ruth knows that he doesn't have her, but he's got like a really shitty exhibit, and he has like a really bad looking Belial that's made out of like Halloween decorations or something, you know?
yeah, she says
Yeah.
paper mache and other stuff that's just put together, old bones and chicken bones, paper mache, and a whole
Yeah.
bunch of stuff.
Yeah. But I think, I think it's like even because she destroys that exhibit specifically, but I think it's like she finds it very offensive that he's saying Belial looks like that. And that he's like, he's actually talking about Belial in a bad way and has like it's not because she doesn't destroy all the other exhibits, but she definitely destroys the one. Or maybe Bilal himself destroys it. It's right. It makes more sense because Bilal kills him, and then he's like, "Hell, this ain't me. I'm gonna destroy this exhibit and making fun of me like that."
Yeah, yeah. Um, And the thing, and I almost keep forgetting about the newspaper woman. It's good to set up the fact that the newspaper woman, Marcy, geez, I'm gonna just keep calling her newspaper woman. Uh, the story
So
about Belial and Dwayne would have died because they had disappeared and they've been gone for a long time. No one knows where they are. But she's forced to be on this story because it sells newspapers. So that exploitation ideal is the theme is used throughout the entire film about people who exploit the unique individuals out there, and of course, Granny Ruth doesn't like that exploitation. And
yeah,
does Belial, but Belial, I think it just likes killing people, just like the rest of the unique individuals later on like being part of that type of mentality where they can kill the people who are exploiting them. Um,
right. And even I think most of them are, for the most part, non-violent, but they're kind of helping. They're kind of accomplices, but they're not like killing people
no,
themselves.
I think they like Belial being there, and Belial kind of like rubs off on them. I think they all would have been completely docile until Belial. And even though the unique individuals are being exploited by normal people, you have to ask yourself: is Granny Ruth exploiting them as well, just a little bit for her own gains? She may have a heart of gold when it comes to keeping them all safe, but just a little bit. If Bilal's the first violent one that she has under her roof,
Yeah.
she's at a point where she's able to do something about the people out there who exploit other unique individuals.
Yeah, yeah, because it was really unnecessary to kill that Lyle guy. It was just that was like he wasn't really doing anything
No,
to anybody, and he wasn't a threat to him.
no,
He was just over there be like doing a sideshow thing, like but it was like offensive to Granny Ruth, and she felt like she had to kill him. She's probably been thinking about killing him for a long time. Really, what I'm saying? It's like then now she finally has a way to do it. So one thing we didn't mention that it was a really cool scene is that when they they don't have the basket from the first one, they actually come in with a new basket. Like
uh,
Susan brings a new basket in, and it's a cool scene because they bring it in, and she's like, oh, I know you like staying in a basket, and there's the door opens and Susan's standing there with it, and it kind of dollies in on her. It's a really cool shot.
yeah, I no, it's a nice shot. Nice that you mentioned that because yes, that is a great shot. There's a lot of really nice shots, and like I said, the cinematography is much more improved than the previous film, and it actually shows a lot in this movie. Um, and that's a great scene because we realize that you could have thought that they just keep Bilal in the basket to kind of keep him away from everyone else, but when Granny Ruth says that he likes to sleep in the basket, you realize that that's like his security blanket,
Yeah.
like Linus from the Peanuts. That's his security blanket is the basket. So
Yeah,
it's
it's like you when you train a dog. It's like they get comfortable being inside the crate. Like if they're crate trained, if they're right, they'll actually want to go in there for they feel safe in there.
yeah, yeah. So I like that scene too. I'm glad you brought that back up because I forgot about how much that scene actually shows us about the character of Belial. And this film does a lot of that actually. Not only there, but later on with the scenes with Eve, we see Belial with a lot of emotional context that he just didn't have in the first film. So
Right.
yeah.
What happens when the Lao guy gets killed? Like the Granny Ruth comes in there with the basket, and she says, um, he tells him that he owes Mr. Bradley an apology, and then, she opens the basket, and Bilal just like jumps out right on his face, and then he kills him. Apparently, it doesn't show a lot there. It's like usually in this movie, like Bilal would jump on somebody, and there's like some struggle, and we don't see the actual death, or it's usually we see the aftermath of it later on. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
go ahead.
it works good here because this is like later on the reporter Marcy shows up and she comes in there and she sees the exhibits destroyed and then she looks over in a fish tank and the Lyle's body's in the fish tank. He makes a sound or something, but apparently he was dead, or dying.
dying. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah. Marcy mentions that he doesn't when after she calls the cops, he doesn't. He suffers. He dies. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So yeah, he dies, and then of course she now has to find a new way, a new lead to find the Bradley twins. So uh,
yeah.
the thing I do like about the film, you may not think the reporters really like that important, but the reporter's story does drive the film forward. To
Well,
be
yeah,
honest,
no, yeah, yeah. You needed that character because you need a villain character, and she actually brings in a second villain, Artie, the photographer, who's kind of just as sleazy as she is.
yeah, it's
Right.
weird. They're sleazier. The men that she brings in to help
Yeah,
her end up being sleazier than she is. Art
yeah.
photographer, the first person that she brings in. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you needed these characters. You got to have these like sleazeballs, like the Lyle guy and all that. So because you need people to get killed in a horror movie, and you also, if it was just about them rehabilitating Belial, and it wouldn't. I mean, it would be interesting. I mean, it wouldn't be a horror movie, and I think that they're definitely needing these
yeah,
these kills in the film, even though none of them are really that impressive of kills.
no, no, I'm trying to think. No, I think Artie's death is fun. Uh,
Yeah, I think yeah they do cool stuff with them. I mean, not that they don't, because but almost all of them are just Bilal jumping on their face, and then they're wrestling with him for a while, and then like you'll see them dead after that, like some crazy makeup on them after the dead. Of course, you don't see Artie like that. You see like when he dies, you see like shadows in she's done with shadows through the window and all this, and it's yeah
Well,
it's really
you bring Artie's up, but after the new Marcy brings Artie into the fold, uh, and they get a wind of where Granny Ruth is. The ideal is just to get information from Granny Ruth because she used to have, she had a daughter that was considered a unique individual, and or she used to take care of unique individuals.
Yeah, at some point I think when Lou the editor is talking to Marcy the first time that he talk I think that's when it's mentioned
Yeah.
that there's a place called like Granny somebody Death, I think maybe Doctor Death or something, and then she had like a son or daughter that had like 11 arms that died. I think they called her Doctor Freak, and then the kid that with 11 arms that died, and then she had a commune full of freaks, but eventually they got busted, and they made her stop doing that.
And I didn't want to bring that type of cult mentality up, but yeah, that it seemed like we call it a commune, but also some people could think of it as a cult, and she's essentially repeating that now in her own home, with the new batch of unique individuals that she's caring for. But the reporter thinks that she can give some insight on the Bradley twins so that she can continue to write in these articles. But the first time she goes there, the first thing Ruth tells her is that she doesn't want to talk to her because she'll exploit them and everything else. And then of course the newspaper woman accidentally catches wind of Dwayne there and immediately
Right.
recognizes him. And that's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
we get to the Artie thing. But there's some other stuff that happens before that. Number one being that Dwayne thinks that his brother doesn't need him anymore and he just wants to get out of there. But, trying to talk to your brother about, that type of stuff may be a little bit more harder than it seems. So Dwayne takes
Yeah.
his brother. Well, let's say Dwayne goes to see his brother upstairs where we see all the other unique individuals around, but we also see Belial's relationship as it is progressing with Eve, which is
Yeah.
unique. So
Well, something really interesting happens though with Dwayne, because this is like right when we really hadn't seen him that much since the beginning of it, and he wakes up. Before he had like really long hilarious looking hair in the first movie, and he started out that way in this one. But he wakes up, he has a short haircut, looks like a normal person. He wakes up and he opens the bathroom door, and there's this creature sitting on the toilet with a half moon shaped face, and he just like doesn't think anything about it, closes the door. There's been a huge time lapse, and also he doesn't have the cast on his arm
Yeah.
or his leg anymore. So it's a pretty cool like a way to show that time has passed by the way Dwayne looks. It's like a lot different here than he did 30 minutes. It's probably been a good 15 minutes that we hadn't seen him on screen, you know?
No, that's cool, and I think that's a really interesting way to jump right in with his character after he was incapacitated after the events of the first film, and now he's been there long enough to have healed. He already knows that there are other unique individuals in the house, but it's getting a little crowded in there. He can't even go to the bathroom without
Yeah,
seeing one of them. And then of course, he sees the other one walking up the stairs as he's walking down the stairs.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, those shots like that give us a real quick sense that one, Dwayne is healed. Two, Dwayne is uncomfortable in that house. Uh,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
it
He definitely don't feel like he belongs.
doesn't feel like he belongs. He doesn't feel like he belongs.
But there's a funny scene before that was like this is probably it seemed a little random because there's no follow up to it, but it shows Susan during the same time period. She comes out of a store with a bag of groceries that she's bringing back to the house, and some bartender guy comes over to her. I think maybe this bartender might be the guy from later in the film. But he comes over and he's trying to hit on her, and he says, "Why don't you come over? I'll buy you a drink." And she's like, "No." And she walks off, and he's like, "Well, have a nice day, you bitch." You know.
Yeah,
But he's like this old kind of sleazy guy trying to hit on a real young girl, you know, and it's like,
no, Susan barely looks like she's out of her. If she's
yeah,
out of her 20s, she's still
yeah,
not like she's young 20s, and your old ass is hitting on her, and then
yeah, yeah,
she doesn't want to go out with you. I was like,
yeah. But he might. I mean, now I'm thinking about it. There's a bar later in the film. I feel like he's
the bar.
maybe I think so. And that makes more sense. We'll talk about that when we get to that scene. But maybe that's what that is. And then right after that scene, Ruth's like doing her therapy with Bilal, and she says one of the best lines from the whole movie. And she's like, "Bilal, I understand your pain, but ripping the faces off of people may not be in your best interest."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that she's using him just
Yeah. Yeah, but this is like after. I guess she feels like, okay, we got that out of our system. Now we can be normal. You know, we killed that Lyle guy that's been like she's been a thorn in her side. He's been a thorn in her side for years. You know.
that's actually a good point to make. I don't think Granny Ruth was expecting there to be any more people that Belial may have to kill, except for the person that was exploiting Belial. So yeah, you might be right. You might be right about that. I didn't think about that until now.
Yeah, but then we see like you're talking about Dwayne wakes up, and then Susan comes in with those same groceries,
Mhm.
and one of the monsters comes in and snags something from it, and then he has a conversation with her in the kitchen. But then eventually like you were saying, like wants to have a talk with Belial because he wants to leave. He's like he wants to take Susan and go, but Susan doesn't want to go.
No.
But he thinks he's going to be able to talk her into it.
That's interesting. That's interesting. That's the strangest thing for me. I know there's been a time lapse, but the fact that Dwayne automatically just falls in love with her at some point and wants to leave there and go away with her forever. Uh that's one of the few things in this film that I thought was may have been a little bit too much too fast, but it works with the story being told. But I think that's the only thing, especially considering that he just had his real first relationship in the last movie.
Well, yeah, like you say, there is a time lapse, so it does help that we don't.
We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it helps like too that even in the first movie, it was like really fast too with that. I mean, I think he is fast. I think it's not going to take much for him to fall in love and be ready to be with somebody the rest of his life. It don't take but one date, you know. So
You're right
it's,
about that. With
it's
Dwayne's a little bit sheltered, so
yeah. but however, we don't know how long it's been. I mean, I think
So,
probably what you're saying, I think more than anything is we're robbed of that progression
yeah.
by there being the time lapse. We don't get to see that, and it could have helped too with the development because like going forward, because it could have been something that was gradually like going instead of like right there. It could have been like by the end of it, that's where he's come to his decision that he wants her to go with him. You know,
Mhm.
because at this point, it could have been like he's talking with her, but he's not necessarily asking her to go with him yet. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think that's probably like what I think it could have actually been help. It could have been help. It would have been help development to hold that back a little bit.
Well, and also keep in mind this is barely a 90-minute movie too.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not really necessary because that time lapse does a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was a small thing with me this time watching it. I don't think I really cared or noticed it that much the previous times I watched it, but I just
Yeah.
this time first time, so I brought it up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's when, yeah, and then that's when he brings the Bilal to the tool shed and he's having the talk to him. He says that, and then they start talking telepathically, and then something real weird happens. Bilal just thinks it's like the funniest thing he's ever heard in his life, and just starts cracking up laughing about it, you know, because he started laughing about Dwayne saying he's going to live a normal life.
Yeah,
And Bilal's like, man, that's hilarious, you know. And that's the scene when Bilal looks like Dwayne.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's the only time where that happened, and it's so jarringly odd. But it's also odd because he's laughing so hard that it's just yeah, it's just yeah, yeah.
yeah. What was weird is I on the interview with the actor who was when he was talking about that scene, he seemed to misremember it being a dream sequence or something like that they used it for. But this is actually like a scene that's not a dream sequence, and it just happens in the film.
Hmm.
And they kept it, you know. But for some reason he thought it was a dream sequence, and they ended up like using it only for that. But I don't. It doesn't make any sense that they probably should have reshot that. Really, hindsight, but
Actually, that would make much more sense why it was him as the face of Belial, and not only in that one scene is it being like it might have been a dream sequence where he Dwayne is dreaming about Belial and he's seeing himself within Belial, and that's
right, yeah,
but
yeah,
since they took out the dream sequence, they just threw that sequence right there.
yeah.
We don't
Um,
know.
yeah. Well, I think it too. They were going to use it as Bilal, but then they like the producers thought it looked terrible, so it doesn't look. They're like it doesn't look like Bilal. It just looks like something really weird, like a human
Yeah,
face, you know.
Belial doesn't need a face like that. We like his weird looking face from earlier. So
Yeah, yeah. And then after that's when Marcy comes up, and then we see the gargoyle for the first time, and the frogman hiding in the bushes. You know, yeah. And then then Ruth has her in there, and Ruth hates her. You know, she's like, I can't stand her.
can't stand her.
Yeah, and then
Well, she is a reporter, a tabloid reporter, which is not looked highly upon. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
so, and I think, and I seem to recall there being lots of characters like tabloid reporters, like a regular reporter wouldn't be doing this type of story as a tabloid reporter. So,
yeah, yeah. She does say Ruth. This is like the first time she says unique individuals. She's like, Ruth mentions like she mentioned something about her like having to do with freaks or whatever before, and then Ruth says she's retired and she has nothing to do with unique individuals anymore, you know. But she offends her like Marcy does offend her pretty bad already. Um, and then Marcy's leaving, and then Dwayne comes in with the basket, and it's like a oh shit moment, you know.
well, it's funny because after Marcy leaves, knowing that she recognized Dwayne, Dwayne's having that conversation with Granny Ruth. You don't think she recognized me, do you? Do you think she recognized me? Do you know? He kept
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she definitely recognized him, and he had the friggin' basket. But it's a funny reaction that Marcy has is because the a true reaction to the situation would kind of be a little bit more fear, but she's very excited. I mean, she almost got killed right there, and she doesn't even realize it, you know.
Yeah.
But she's very excited about this finding the two Bradley brothers and getting the story. And then she goes back and talks to Artie, and instead of doing what she's been hired to do by Lou, the editor, she wants to go around his back and steal the story from him and start her own thing, you know?
Yeah, and the greed.
Yeah, right. So, and so which is not a move that's going to go in her favor at all.
Yeah, 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 she had just stuck as a tabloid reporter and told the police and actually wrote the article as being the person there who helped get him captured. That would have been her story, but that's not what she wants.
Right.
She thinks it's going to lead her to bigger and better things because she's a tabloid reporter. What do you think?
Right. Yeah, well, I think that they were made a real mistake letting her go to begin with, because she could have called the police right away,
Oh
and
yeah,
they weren't prepared for it, you know.
yeah, that's actually a really good point. Um,
But I mean, I guess one question is like, I mean, obviously Bilal and Dwayne are fugitives, and they've killed like, especially Bilal's killed people, but the rest of the monsters haven't done that much. I mean, I guess they did break up her commune before, but I don't know if the police came there and Dwayne and Belial were gone. I guess they would still be accessories after the fact, you know,
well,
especially Ruth.
well, you have to prove that they were there to begin with, and uh,
Yeah,
I think the fear of being caught is what prompts Ruth and Belial and all of them because what's his face? Like no, I can't remember. If no, I don't think Dwayne has that moment where he's gonna stay there yet. Yet this is Artie's death is the first one. Um,
yeah,
I,
right, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Well,
Uh,
she goes. Was like have if it's like Dwayne like panics and wants to leave, but then he does decide to stay and fight
yeah,
because
that's what I thought. Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's what he
Yeah,
did.
because Ruth says to him, she uses this like she's like, what about all the other unique individuals upstairs? What's going to happen to them if the cops come here? So either we can leave and run, all of us, or we have to stay and fight, whatever that's going to be.
Hmm.
And then so he's like, all right, I see your point. And then it's kind of funny. There's like an elevator in the house, I guess, that goes to the attic or something. It's the first time the only time we see it. And Ruth goes up to the attic and she gives this monologue to all the creatures and gets them all hyped up and ready for some fight.
Yeah, this is a scene that you might see like in the final act of the movie, but we're seeing here when we're prepping them for like something that's going to maybe happen. They don't even know. That's the strange thing. It's a reporter and they don't know what is going to happen next. But obviously, because she goes to talk to Artie, she sends Artie to get pictures of Belial and
Yeah. And
Dwayne.
Dwayne,
Like
yeah.
it's supposed to be that easy. Just go in there and get evidence of them being there.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
she actually tells him only to get pictures of Dwayne and then go because like
oh, that's right.
Bilal's too dangerous.
But Artie decides to sneak into the house while he's seeing Dwayne in there talking. I
Right,
can't.
well, they set it up like Susan and Granny Ruth get in the van and make a big to do out of leaving, and then what's his name? Then Kevin or Dwayne sitting there on the phone doing like a really contrived like conversation that's fake, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and that it prompts Artie to go in instead of just taking the picture right then and there. That's all he needed was a single picture of him wandering the house, and they would have their evidence. But no, Artie has to go inside the house and just follow Dwayne around. Of course, but Dwayne eventually goes up the stairs and makes his way up the attic.
But
And
Dwayne, yeah, when he's on the phone, what gets him in there? because Dwayne's on the phone and he like Artie doesn't know about the other monsters, but he says that Belial is sick and unable to do anything, and he's in the attic and he can't come down. He's too weak. So Artie's like, "Oh, Belial's like weak and sick. I could definitely go take a picture of him now." You know, it's
Yeah. And like you were saying, he already follows him up to the attic. And unfortunately, it's all a huge setup. I do like the way they did this, the cinematography for this, where Artie's trying to take pictures and he starts to see the monsters up
yeah,
there. They get slightly closer with each time he takes a picture.
yeah,
Each time he takes a picture until Bilal is Bilal in the basket first,
No,
and
I think he's just there. He's like crawling across the floor, like on the attic.
yeah, he crawls across the floor to the from the in the attic and just lunges for him. And from our perspective, the audience, where we, like you mentioned, we don't see much violence. We see him pulled up through the attic door. Um, and
Yeah,
then the rest of it is pretty much Marcy seeing the flashes through the windows and hearing some screams is what she.
yeah. But the reason there's flashes through the windows, the creatures steal his camera and start
Yeah,
taking pictures of him getting killed. You know, and
I did find. Well, I like that fact that when he sees all the monsters surrounding him, that's a really cool shot. Because
yeah,
like, I was just expecting one, and now there's like 20 or 30 of them. Uh, and
yeah,
he doesn't drop back down the steps. He doesn't know what to do. He's just clicking away, just clicking away like
yeah.
stop.
See, yeah, I would be gone. Yeah, I would.
Of course, but
Yeah,
we have to see Bilal, and this is where you were saying the other monsters don't really do nearly as much. We see Bilal kill him as well, and the
yeah,
monsters are just relishing the fact that they are seeing Bilal in action. And in this kill to them, because they didn't see the first kill that Bilal had done with Barker. This is the first time they see him kill. So it,
yeah. And plus, they get the camera out and they're like really thinking that's awesome, taking pictures of
yeah.
this death,
But now Marcy is like freaking out because Artie never comes back.
Well,
Um,
she sees him dying though, because of the way the camera is like flipping. She can see like him wrestling Belial, and then yeah, then she goes back and calls like a private investigator named Phil.
who's also sleazy.
Yeah, yeah,
We keep getting sleazier with the people that she knows. These are people that she knows that she's trusted in her life as a tabloid reporter, and I guess that's all she knows. But
yeah,
that's also the theme of all the people out there that exploit, special individuals or unique individuals, is that they're exploiting them and using them. So it goes with
yeah. This guy's a little he's pretty smooth talker. He's
Bill
pretty yeah, he's pretty
Swab.
yeah, he's like he's pretty like it's not even he is a little suave, but he's also got an authority to him that he carries with him. And then so the idea is she's been wanting to talk to Dwayne. She's like, before we call the cops, I really want to talk to Dwayne, which is kind of dumb that at this point it's like, why not call the cops?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, the jig is up. Artie, your friend is dead, and you're next. But no, she still wants to talk to Dwayne for some reason, and before going to the cops.
yeah.
But anyway, so she gets Phil involved, and he calls over there and gets Dwayne on the phone. After like talking to Susan, and he ends up he's so intimidating that he's able to get Dwayne on the phone, and then he has him meet him at this bar, which I think is the bar, and that's why that scene's about, which I didn't put together until we were talking about it earlier, where that bartender guy was hitting on Susan. I think it's the same bar that they go to.
That would make sense. That would make a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
sense. I
And
didn't
this,
think about it till you said it, but that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, yeah, because like what? Because later on we see the bartender dead, and I bet it's that same guy, but it's like the most random person that they kill, because usually they don't kill. Well, they have in the other movies, but in this movie they seem to be targeting like villainous people instead of like randos. But killing the bartender is a random thing, but not if the bartender was this sleazy guy we saw earlier, you know?
Well, next time I watch, I'll have to pay more attention to the bartender who's dead on the floor because I think that makes much more sense. Actually, is that it's the same bar from earlier. Um,
Which, yeah, because she's only out, we only see him from outside, and she comes out there acting like, kind of creepy, I guess.
yeah, yeah, he calls Susan a bitch. Of course,
Yeah. Well, that's like after she tells him to screw off when he's like he was gonna wanted to be he wanted to be a sugar daddy, and she's like he presented an opportunity to her. I guess calling her a bitch was trying to, man, she didn't hear him say it, I don't think. She didn't hear him say
I
it,
don't
but
think she heard them either.
yeah. Audience knows he did it though.
Yeah, he's a sleazebag. Well, he's got a much, 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 much younger woman, so I just call him a sleazebag. But
Yeah, yeah.
the bar sequence is very interesting because it seems like Phil is at home in that type of atmosphere when he meets Dwayne in the bar and thinks that he's going to be able to get all this information from him. But
Yeah.
this is where we see that they have created a whole plan to what's going to unfold, just like what they did with Artie. They trapped Artie in their own house before killing him, and
Yeah.
they set up this whole meeting at the bar for the exact same purpose. Uh,
It,
with
it- it's kind of creepy too. The bar looks like it's all foggy and smoky looking, and he sits in this booth, and we don't realize it at first, but we start to realize it pretty soon. You start seeing people coming in trench coats and stuff, and it's like, well, I think that might be some of those monsters dressed up, acting like they're not. It's kind of like a mimic, you know?
Yeah, yeah. You do see some. You like see the shadows of some of the characters. I can't remember her name. The one female character with the thing on her head. You see her shadow. You obviously it's a very defined shadow as she's walking in the bar and she's in the background. It's like, oh, that's what's going
Yeah,
on. I took it as when I first saw this, I took it as a surprise, but after the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, I always anticipate that. I always like that scene where they're just strolling in one by one
yeah,
until it's revealed that that Phil is completely surrounded by all of the unique individuals in this bar, and he's just as shocked and surprised as Artie was when he was killed up in the attic. So
I like it. They're all the unique individuals are sitting at the bar, and then they all just turn around, and it's just like, oh, it's funny. They have masks on too. They have like people mask on that look real fake, you know?
yeah, to make them look like normals,
Yeah,
normal people. I found that hilarious. I'm
yeah,
like, dude,
yeah.
the people who, yeah,
There's like that one monster that has like an eye like lower and the other eye up on top of his head, and he has the mask over the eye that doesn't work, you know? So it's like,
No, yeah, I do like that. Those are some clever things that they put in the film to make it much more interesting, in my opinion. Because it could have easily been another sequence like the Barker sequence where Bilal comes in, and kills him after being told by his brother. But this is like a community of people, the way it is presented in this movie, and I think that's what makes this movie a much different animal than the first one. So I was fine with seeing them all in the bar, despite the fact that Bilal is the only one who really gets in any of the killing.
yeah, they were like intimidating. It was interesting though. Phil he was talking to Dwayne, and he's actually telling Dwayne what he wanted to hear about being a normal person. He's like, you're a normal person. You can have a normal life.
Yeah.
We just gotta and we got to get your brother. I guess he wanted to have him arrested or something. Is kind of what his goal. The goals for the reporter and Phil are kind of a little weird because they're not thinking right. They put themselves in danger, and I don't know what Phil's ultimate goal is, like what he's actually thinking about. What I guess they're just wanting the story and thinking they're going to make a lot of money off of it or something.
I think that's which is weird because the report Marcy's uh boss tells her that the money that they're offering for the information leading to Bilal and Dwayne's arrest is fake. It's something that they just put in their newspaper.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
right, yeah,
you kind of wonder what exactly is her motivation if it's not monetary, really, because there's an easier way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah, it's
But that's
Yeah.
part of the plot. That's part of the plot. So
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of mirrors the plot. Now, that type of plot, that part of the plot mirrors the plot from the beginning when they were getting revenge on the doctors. Even though it's not as deep of a meaning here with these reporters and all that, but but it is kind of similar, like slasher like stuff going on with that.
yeah, yeah. But then we see, we see Phil. We see Phil surrounded in the bar, and of course he gets killed by Belial. And then of course they
Yeah.
all think they're safe.
Yeah, what he does, he sees them and he tries to run away. He goes into the back room. He trips over the basket and lands on the floor, which is pretty funny. And then Bilal attacks him like he typically does. And then it's kind of a cool little move. He takes the gun out. And he tries to shoot Bilal, but he misses because he ends up going through the door, which doesn't do anything. But then Phil is thrown. Bilal is like really ridiculously strong. It's kind of funny, but he's thrown through the door and lands on the floor. If Phil does, and then half of like part of his face is ripped off, like his bottom lip is ripped off, and he dies at that point. And then they're able to get his information, and they're able to get Marcy's address.
Yeah.
So that leads us to like it goes to Marcy's apartment, and she's like just taking a shower. She's drying her hair. She has a towel on. This movie doesn't have any nudity in it. There's no exploitation of it, really any nude in this one, unlike the first one. Which they could have done it here, but they didn't.
Like
And
it's
it's kind of
like you
what
said, this film tries not to be that exploitation type of hardcore, hard R type of film on purpose. Like you're right. They could have put nudity in the air and all that type of stuff, but they kind of
right.
allow nudity is the only nudity we get.
Because the question is like, why don't you take a shower? Is that really what you would be doing when you're sitting there waiting for Phil to go talk to this guy, and you just decide you're going to go take a shower? Yeah, really the biggest reason for her to be in the shower. I mean, usually it's like so we can get some nudity in there, which we don't get. But the main reason is so she can dry her hair, and that makes it so that she doesn't hear something that happens. That's like I think that's the only reason why the shower thing happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's taking a shower, and then when she comes out, she sees that her window has been broken through. Uh,
It was not even when she's taking a shower because she calls Phil, he doesn't answer,
that's
and
right.
then she goes to dry her hair,
That's
and
right.
the hair dryer covers the sound of the window breaking, and then she comes, and then the phone line's cut. But I think that's the only reason why her taking a shower is in there. But her taking a shower doesn't make any real sense.
No, I agree with you. I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it until you mentioned it. That's a good point to add. I didn't think about it. Yeah.
I mean, it usually doesn't make sense anyway, but usually the whole point is to get them nude. But here it's to cover the sound of the window and everybody else sneaking into the apartment without her noticing.
Oh
Which
yeah.
is, yeah.
So yeah, we get the window breaking, and then we get who's the first one we see?
Well, see Dwayne, like she turns
Wayne.
around and Dwayne's like there, and he's like, "Oh, you wanted to talk to me?"
Oh, that's
And
right.
yeah, yeah, and she's like, "This is what the scene where Dwayne acts really demented acting. It's a really cool scene." But she's like, "Oh," she's like, "No, I know, maybe later. Today's not good. I just got out of the shower." And then he's like, but Bilal's really looking forward to this interview.
Hmm.
You don't want to upset him. He's ready for this interview. And then she starts pleading with him. She's like, I'm not going to write the story. And then Dwayne says, yeah, he'll do the interview and then he'll rip your face off. And then all the creatures come into the apartment. They're all surrounding her. And then she grabs a kitchen knife and, and then she says she wants to meet Bilal and actually kill him. And then, Dwayne just she becomes like she's really scared at this point, which she should be because she's cornered and she's threatening him with a knife, but she doesn't have much room to deal with here. But then they're like where is Belial though? And then there's like another laundry basket and it's like could he be in there? and like a dumbass, she goes and opens it, and then he springs out of it, and then
So
that's
go ahead.
yeah, he just that's what Bilal does. He springs out and
In
lands
this
on
film,
people's
yes.
faces, and yeah,
Well, the funny thing is, with her, we're not 100% sure if he kills her or not. He rips her face, it contorts it, kind of like what you might have seen in Todd Browning's Freaks at the very end when they
yeah.
do that thing to I forget what the character's name is, but the one woman that they change and contort into a freak as well. That's how.
Right, yeah. They actually make I think the dialogue says, Dwayne says, "Gee, Marcy, you should see yourself. You're a freak now too."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, so they don't necessarily kill her, but they turn her into yet a freak, and before leaving the house.
right.
Uh,
Yeah, maybe she's not dead. I mean, that would really kill somebody, like taking their face and twisting it like a pretzel. But yeah, but perhaps she's not dead.
she can still survive. Half her face is just like a pretzel,
Yeah,
though. um, but from there we go back to the house, and
yeah.
that's when I guess there's a celebratory picnic that
Right, yeah. They're outside. They got a
outside.
yeah. They're having a barbecue, and all the freaks are eating hot dogs and corn on the cob and chips, and
Even the gargoyles eat it.
yeah. It's that's a cool scene, and so like here we're at about an hour and 15 minutes into the film, and about an hour 30-minute film, and we've killed the main or maybe maimed the main antagonist, but she's out of the story, and now it's just a celebration all of a sudden, but. What's left? What's the big thing that we don't know about at this point? And it's Susan, of course. So.
Yeah, we don't know much about Susan, but the thing is, during this whole picnic thing, Dwayne wants to speak with Susan because Dwayne has done yet again. He's helped his brother out, and thinks that it's time for him to leave, and so he wants to pack up and just go, just leave.
Yeah,
Take Susan with him. Um, so he takes her away for the party and has this conversation with her. And then they start making out, but then she has to stop him because she has to it has this big reveal that she has to tell him because he keeps saying that she's normal and he's normal, and she keeps saying none of them are normal. You know,
right. So something that's happening at the same time. It cuts to Belial going up in the attic, and we see the female version of him for the first time.
yeah. Oh, yes. So we haven't mentioned the fact that we can't actually see Eve. Eve is hidden behind some blankets or some coverings the entire film until now. And when Belial is go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, so like so she's got legs unlike him, but she kind of looks kind of similar, and so they start having sex, and it's like
So for everyone who's never seen this movie before, and who has seen this movie before we see, the dolls, Chucky and Tiffany having sex and thought that was the craziest shit when that happened
yeah.
in Bride of Chucky. We have this.
Yeah. It's a little crazier than that, and it's like there's some
Yes,
yeah,
it's
it's
much
like
crazier than that.
yeah, just the sound that the Eve character is making, like the sound while he's like screwing her, and it's like so,
But the thing is that the practical effects look really good. Like they
yeah,
look
yeah,
really fucking good.
yeah,
I hate to say this. They look really good. You actually buy all this. But as that's happening, you see his brother Dwayne trying to make out with Susan. But it's not going nearly as well with Susan because Susan has to tell him her secret before they can move any further. Do you have the like the actual story she says? Or you, I always keep
yeah.
forgetting the actual details. Like,
Well,
go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, there's not like a lot of detail to it. She said she was with a man once, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's no big deal, I mean, it's okay." And she's like, "Well, and then she tells him that she's pregnant, and she's been like that for 6 years.
She's been
Yeah,
pregnant for 6 years.
yeah. And it's
her child who doesn't want to be born properly, and Granny Ruth is going to help her when her baby is ready to be born. And then of course she reveals her torso, and I don't even know what you describe the creature, her baby.
I got a description. I think that's going to read well.
Okay.
He looks like Petey the Piranha from Super Mario Brothers.
That just kind of pops out.
Yeah.
I was laughing my ass out when I first saw this. So
Yeah.
and I still laughed at it when I rewatched the movie. It's like, oh my god, because the baby just pops out of her stomach, pops back in. Oh, he's a little shy, and then he pops back. She pushes on her stomach, and he pops back out again.
Yeah, her stomach's got like an X, like a slit on it, so he can come in and out of her stomach whenever he wants to come out. He's kind of prefer to be in there most of the time, though. I
know.
Yeah,
he says he prefers to be in there, and dude, Dwayne is like can't take it. Dwayne is like he has a complete and nervous breakdown at that point.
Yeah, yeah. She should have been a little more careful about this reveal and not stand in front of a window. It wasn't the best place to be.
Well, I don't think she was expecting Dwayne to just start backing her up, and but he pushes her out the window, and this is the tragic part. He pushes her out the window, and she lands right on the picnic table where everybody else is eating.
Yeah.
And
completely ruins the meal. I mean, it's like
ruins the meal, and then Auntie Ruth cannot believe her eyes as she sends all the other unique individuals to find Dwayne. And Dwayne is like crazy. Dwayne is like he's like nuts. He like lost his shit. He goes looking in the I guess you call it the room where Bilal was first held with all the toys and stuff, like the kids' toy room, and grabs a baseball bat before going upstairs to the attic, where he catches Bilal with Eve, and he just for the first time we see Bilal in a very a very vulnerable position, obviously.
Yeah.
he knocks Bilal out with a baseball bat. Just knocks him out. And then I do like the way this movie ends. I really do like the way this movie ends, because Dwayne is so far gone. He thinks the only way that he can become whole again is to put his brother back where he was before all this happened. So I think he goes back down to that room again. I think.
Yeah, he goes back down in there because that's where the thread is, and
the giant freaking needle. Knitting needle. A giant knitting needle is just knits his brother right back to him on his side, which is, it's foretold earlier kind of a little bit when you see Dwayne staring at himself in the mirror at the side where Bilal used to be, and of course he flashes back to the events from the first film.
Right. Yeah. And there's some brief nudity there. It's just like you see his butt and stuff, but that's just about as much nudity as we get.
That's all we get. But here, as he's telling his little story out loud, because he's gone completely nuts, and his brother's like halfway unconscious, he's sewing him back into his side, and we hear Bilal like screaming for the first time in this movie. The first time where Bilal is actually vulnerable.
It's really like jarring too when he starts screaming. He's like, Bilal's like in a really good place. At this point, he's killed everybody he wanted to kill, and now he's had sex for the first time, and he's like, man, everything's good, life is great. And then his brother's like, I'm going to sew you back onto my side,
and the thing is, the movie kind of ends with Dwayne and Bilal attached to each other once again when Granny Ruth, and I can't remember whether they're unique individuals are staring there with her. They open the door, and I wrote it down. What was his last line? He says, Dwayne's last line.
When she comes in, and what she says is, she's like, Dwayne. And this is like, you don't know what her position is, because you think she's outside of the picnic table and she's like, "Let's go get him." And you don't know if she's mad at him for killing Susan or she's still on his side. But here, when she says Dwayne and she sees what he's done, it's like a horrified expression. I don't know if that's for Belial or if that's for Dwayne.
We
I
don't
think,
know.
yeah,
So this, yeah,
she might not. Dwayne at this point might be on her chopping block because of him killing like
Susan.
Susan.
Yeah. But the last thing Dwayne says is, "It's okay. We're together again."
Yeah, yeah,
That's how it ends. I was like, damn. Uh,
yeah,
and I like the way this ends. I like the way that it just leaves your jaw dropping. Like, this could have had a happy ending. Everyone having sex, everyone having good vibes, everyone, Dwayne leaving with his normal girl. But no, we have to end it with everything getting fucked up by the end. Just
yeah,
like the ending of the first film where we saw them hanging outside the window before they drop and die. Uh, this film is like they're back together again. And we ended with a really screwed up ending with Susan dying and everything like that. So I
yeah.
like the ending. I like the fact that I was left at the end of this film with my jaw dropping and said, "What the heck?" Yeah,
Yeah. It's kind of it's a kind of a tough scene when he's sewing Bilal to his side. It's kind of hard to watch because of and the screams coming from Bilal. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, most definitely. But I think this film and this franchise as a whole needed that because we don't ever see Bilal as a vulnerable character, and in this film we see that at the very end, when we were thinking that both characters would probably get what they were hoping for, what they've earned, but no, they Frank Henenlotter doesn't leave many films with happy endings at the end. If you watch
Yeah, yeah.
the characters are usually a little bit more screwed up than when they've started the movies. So,
But it's good for a horror movie to end like that sometimes too,
oh
because
yeah,
it might feel better when the ending's more happy, but it is nice to have. I mean, a lot of times with a horror movie, it is better sometimes to end with like this type of cliffhanger. Yeah, they're especially doing it during this time period. He doesn't kill the two characters on screen again, but he puts them in a questionable position about what's going to happen going forward.
yeah. And I think that's what makes these movies work. The ending of the first movie, the ending of this film, and especially stuff that happens in the third film, which really just goes freaking batshit crazy. Uh,
Yeah.
but I do like the way I've always loved this film. Even as you may, and I'm not gonna say this is the greatest movie ever. But the movie was so much fun when I was growing up. I saw it several times, and this, like I said, this is a movie that made me go out searching for the first one for so many freaking years. Because I enjoy these type of batshit crazy movies. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and it is definitely that. Yeah,
they stick with you.
yeah,
They stick with you.
yeah. I like it that we get to see the monsters a lot too,
Yes.
like throughout the film because they're in that house for a long time, and then we see the monsters like just doing their thing in the house, and so they're on screen a pretty good bit. They're kind of most of them don't talk. I think only a couple occasionally talk. Apparently, did you see the interview with like there's like one of the actors that played one of the monsters on the Synapse disc?
I've not seen it. I haven't
Yeah.
seen special features yet.
So there's not that many special features, but there's one of the actors who played the moon shaped one. And he says it's pretty much like a kind of a mask that they put on him. And it was so for most, but he said that since there's some kind of SAG rules where they couldn't do certain things, like they couldn't talk or they couldn't even make grunts or noises that were considered like dialogue, or they'd have to pay them more money. So they were like real, which is kind of a little bit of a bummer when you're thinking about like that with if you're playing a monster and you can't even do anything hardly since or they have to pay you more, so they're like just stand there,
Uh, so,
say,
so they're being treated as background extras. So they
yeah,
say anything. If they said anything, they get bumped up to the next tier. Oh man,
yeah.
that
But there's
is
a
that.
lot, yeah. But there's a lot of monsters, and and they do a lot. But I guess it would cost them a lot more money if they had to pay them all like SAG fees or whatever. I guess. I don't
Oh,
know.
that's interesting. I didn't know that. Oh,
Well, there's definitely one monster that talks at one point. When he comes up into the attic, one of them gets in his face and says something, you know.
oh, that's right. I thought you were thinking about the singing one, the one with the big face. And
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That's not even a person. That's like a puppet or something, you
that's a
know.
puppet.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why that one. That's why that one has lines because it's a puppet.
yeah, yeah. It's
The one with the most beautiful voice she's ever heard, as Granny Ruth says.
yeah, yeah. It's just
What do you think? I mean, like we've talked about these monsters and freaks in this film a lot, and I'm glad you brought that up that they couldn't say anything. But I think that they added such a unique element to this franchise from the first film, which is so straightforward, a kind of a vengeance revenge tale. Um,
yeah,
it changes this film by having so many monsters in it.
yeah. No, I like that aspect of it a lot. It really is like it definitely is one thing you when you think about this film, that's what you think of is that they added all these new monsters, and it also makes it like a safe haven for Belial. You know, it kind of brings him to a place where he can be really like he's the most popular one of all of them. He is their protector, you know, so they're kind of all looking up to him.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
A protector. That's actually a really good point.
But it was something that they needed. They needed a protector because of, you know, previously they've been like kicked out and had to face scrutiny, and so this is the only way that they can stay together if they have somebody who could, you know, make sure that nothing happens to them. So
Yeah. Okay. So, is there anything else we would need to discuss for this film? Because with each of these basket case films, we're adding a little bit more to our discussion, especially for this special themed month. And I'm sure that when we get to part three discussion, we will have even more insight over the entire franchise as a whole.
yeah, no, I mean, I think we covered it pretty good. I don't have any other notes right in hand here.
Okay. All right. Well, Dave, I do want to thank you for having this conversation with me about Basket Case 2, the second film in the franchise. For everyone who's listening, what we love to do is we love to rate the film between 1 and 5, 1 being poor, 5 being amazing. But what we do in our program is we like to take an object, quote, or saying out of the film to attribute to that rating. What is your rating and what quote item or saying are you going to attribute to your rating, Dave, for this film?
So what I'm going to take the Petey the Piranha baby from Susan's stomach. Just because it was such a jarring thing when that happens. It was like you knew something was going on with her, but I don't think I was expecting that, you know?
If anybody was expecting that,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I'll give it three and a half of those. You know, I thought it was I don't like I said earlier, I don't know about why I don't know if it's better than the first one. The first one has a very unique flavor to it. I like the indie spirit of the first one. I
Right.
do like that this one's completely different than the first one, different tone, bigger budget. You bring the Monster House into it, so
So for everyone listening, I've always enjoyed this one. This part two of this franchise has always been probably my favorite of all three. And not to say there's anything bad about the first film. I love the first film because of the grindhouse aesthetic that the first film has. What I loved about this one is I'm a huge fan, like Guillermo del Toro, of having monsters that are not the bad guys. That's why I loved Freak and I love Nightbreed and I love just about any monster that Guillermo del Toro has ever put on screen because he likes to make sympathetic monsters. And that's one of the reasons why I love this film. So I'm gonna give it 4 brand new wicker baskets for
oh
Belial.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
you
that's good. That's a good pick.
know.
And the wicker baskets, yeah.
And what's funny is I don't think they've ever made an action figure of Belial, but I've always wanted to have one of those fucking wicker baskets and not have it just people sit it just put it in a corner somewhere in the house and just see if anyone actually gets like that Belial might be in there.
Yeah.
But I don't think though anyone's ever made an action figure of
Yeah.
Belial or
Oh,
anything to do with
yeah.
the basket case. It would be cool.
Yeah. Well, now that you mentioned that, the basket. I remembered something that was funny because like we were talking about during the first one that was like Bilal's like really too big to fit into the wicker basket. They get a bigger one this time, so it's a little more believable. But when they go into that freak show's house, he's got a basket there that's smaller than the fake monster that he's made, and they actually make a comment about how he wouldn't be able to fit into it, you know.
I know.
Then he comes up with an explanation that he like changed sizes, you know.
Yeah, I think Hiddenlier got that note for the first film. He says, "I'll just explain it away in the fucking second movie."
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Well, for everyone out here who's been listening to this conversation, I do want to thank you all for joining us on this conversation about Basket Case 2. Please make sure to check out the other conversations that we have are for Basket Case 1 and 3. And don't forget to check out all the amazing franchises that we are highlighting for this month, our franchise month. Make sure to like, follow, share, subscribe. Do that thing you do with your favorite podcast or your favorite podcast app, Spotify or YouTube. And please make sure to check out our companion podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, which delves into the amazing 60s, 70s, and 80s output from Hammer Studios. If you like classic Hammer Studio movies, you're going to love listening to us talk about those movies in that podcast. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, we want to wish you a pleasant day. And remember, if you see a wicker basket in your room, don't go near it. Broken the House. Take 3. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production. Written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Executive producer Kelly A. Inoka.